So, Rob, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I think I said that at the start, like 20 minutes ago. It's always the way. It's always the way. I have to say, I absolutely love your drum room. I'm very jealous.
Thank you.
I'm very jealous.
It's like Stan Bicknell actually gave me a bit of a kick up the ass because when I sort of had a chat with him on the podcast, and we were sort of like having talk about life stuff, and he kind of just highlighted the fact that I have this because like I've had this for at least 12 months, I think, and it's about 8 minutes from my house. I've got a key. I split the rent with another person, and but he's here in the mornings. I work during the day, so I'm here in the evening. So we don't cross paths. So, and it's ridiculous. It's like if you tell like 14-year-old Rob or even 30-year-old Rob that this was a thing that I could actually have, short of like in your own house, no dramas. But I kind of actually think it being separate from home is better in a lot of ways. It's crazy, but you just get used to things so easily. Sometimes it's just like, can't be bothered going to the studio today. It's just like, dude, what? Like, so, and that was kind of the thing that like, when me and Stan were talking about stuff, he's like, man, that's the way he said, he's like, dude, that's the dream. I'm like, it is.
Yeah, because he's set up in his Rumble Coffee factory,
and he sets up and tears down every session.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, let's be honest. That's dedication because when you're a drummer, you go, I just want to set up and just leave it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to move.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just about I think pretty much either it was the situation he was in at the time. Like I think that I could be wrong. There may have been a time period where he was able to leave it set up, but at that particular time, he was setting up and tearing down every time. And I was even thinking back to before I had this set up here, because I just had like this secondhand Roland TD3, the ones that are like all rubber pads, like you have the rubber hi-hat cymbal. It's like, pretty rough going. And it was just kind of good for like, if I had to like learn songs or just stay on top of things for gigs and stuff. But even then, it was just like getting me on there. And this was just like the other end of my house, let alone getting in the car, etc. The motivation was just so thin. And
a funny thing is a student on Monday was asking me because he's a new student, worked in the day, comes home and lives with his parents and says, how do I want to buy an electronic kit? And I was like, are they better than an acoustic? I said, well, you're going to have to get an acoustic at some point because electronic kit will make you sound so good. Like you turn on, you start playing, you're instantly, much better than Justin Bieber kind of thing. And he's like, and I said, it's all also about muscle memory. The biggest issue I have found if you play an electronic kit for too long is that when you get to that acoustic kit, everything isn't hard to play. It feels harder. Like every surface feels harder. So when the mesh heads came out, I'm like, cool, everything, it's all meshy and soft like pillows. And then it's almost like I got onto an acoustic kit. I couldn't play it for half an hour because my wrist started to hurt. My right knee started. I'm like, that's never happened. It's because I became soft over the course of a month of just playing electric kit. I don't know if you've ever found that you've kind of stuck to one, then you've gone to the other.
Like my previous band, which is like a real technical death metal kind of thing, where you sort of got to it's if you're not on it, you're off it.
And that's actually like feet. Like if people say, how often should you practice feet? Well, if you want to have good feet and keep good feet, it's a daily thing. Yeah. You miss a day, you notice.
Yeah. And it's like I was explaining this. I was teaching someone yesterday and helping him with like double kick stuff, and it's like those muscles don't want to grow. Like the ones that you have to train, like it's like no, like I'm not meant to be exerted like this. So you just have to like really hammer them. And so the only way to sort of get around it, I mean, the feet thing, it was just, you kind of just got to just go ham. But yeah, I would always use like 3 or 4 stick sizes up to kind of compensate for that. And that more or less, like it would kind of get you most of the way there dealing with that difference and difficulty. But once I got this where it's all real kit all the time, it's just, my playing has just gone through the roof. It's just been.
I would have to say, I've been a big fan of yours for a while now. You know, big fan of yours for a while because I mean, so you've done some Terame stuff, you've done Hate or More. You're probably how I actually described you to another drummer as like the quiet assassin. It's like you don't know what he's doing, and then he's there. And then when he's there, it's like, I'm not just here for a gig, I'm doing an East Coast tour, and now I'm in Singapore, and now I'm touring with, and then you land for a week, and then you're suddenly doing a whole run of shows with like Cherry Lips or whatnot. And then you have a couple of days off, and now I'm back on tour again. Now I'm doing another session, you know. So it's like you don't hear about really the behind the scenes stuff. It's just like, what are Rob's doing? And then the next day, you're at the airport flying out. You know, you're just consistently working, you know. It's you're not kind of staying still, not staying stagnant, which is a very easy trap to fall into, especially when you're a drummer.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I definitely have that problem of like not being able to say no. Like that's definitely been a thing. Although I'm getting better at it. But I tell you what, like the no gig thing, I'm very fortunate because I got a full-time job. I feel fortunate now because obviously I would rather be doing music all the time. But
of course,
for right now, it's just like, well, but being able to just play all the time and just really just like settle into like practice. Like I'm working on like say content related things, but it's still centered around the things that like I want to do. My playing is just expanded so much because when all I'm doing is just prepping for the next gig or I've like said yes too many times and I'm just like spread like super, super thin. I'm kind of just like, it's like sometimes I'll get in these situations where it's like, I've just got to get things ready for the gig. And then it's kind of like, well, at least how I feel, it's like, man, I did that metal thing at 90%. I did this jazz thing at like 80%. I did this covers thing at like sort of, 95%. And it's like I started getting weary of that because, you're not doing anything at 100%. So it's, and then it becomes like a very business conscious thing as well. So I hit up, like it's afforded me a lot of super cool experiences and sick opportunities, but I tell a lot of students, the ones who they kind of have that kind of hunger. It's just like, even if, like, say, if you really, really want to expand and you wind up being like 80 or 90% good at all these different things, the people who are hiring don't care because they want the 100% rock drummer or the 100% jazz dude and all this sort of stuff. So it's like, it's a cool artistic endeavor in that sense. But as a business thing, it's like, it's something, you got to be wary of. So I've shared a lot of things out of my playing over time. And plus it's like, it's not just like, oh geez, I better do this so I can get more money. It's just like, if I want to develop my sound better, and that's where my focus has sort of turned as well, where it's just like, rather than like adding more things into the playing, it's just like, well, let's just take what we got and actually make it sound sicker and work on tuning and the feel and all that kind of stuff. That's where my attention's turned, and that's kind of made it a lot easier. It's like to just look away from all these other things, which makes Vinny all the more nuts because he has all that stuff and executes it at the utmost highest level. He is a rare exception. He's like a
I've heard stories, and I've had a quick chat to him over the years.
Oh.
Very, very quick in person.
Can I stop you really quick?
Yeah, of course.
I've sort of had like in my head, Vinny's been someone where I can't decide if he's someone that I would like to meet.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've met a couple of my idols, and I've been lucky. They've all been really, really nice, and a couple of them I've actually considered as close friends, which is good, which is really lovely. The whole Vinny thing is that there was a gig, and he didn't have a 20-inch Zildjian Oriental China, and I had one, and it was just like, hey, do you have one? Yeah, because I use one, regularly, even at cover gigs on my left for some stupid reason.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good reason, man.
It's a good reason.
At least you know what Brens got you.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. And I said, "Where are you?" I'm in the car. I'm on the way to see Vinny. He's like, "Can you bring it with you?" I'm like, "Sure, all right." So taking all my other symbols, and I'm walking in, and he went, "Cool." He takes it out the back. He quickly gives a quick tap. Goes, "Yeah, it's great. No worries, mate. Thank you so much." And he just walked off. I'm like, "Can I have? Okay, all right. I have no idea what's going on." I get up there. I'm sitting front row, literally sweat distance from Vinny's kid, dead on with a couple of mates. Did the gig, and I watched it. It was phenomenal. His mistakes were perfect. I couldn't even tell what it was.
Yeah.
And they had the intermission, and then they did the second set, and it was with Tal Wilkenfield, Jeffrey Keezer, and I think somebody else as well.
I was at that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you at that one, and then I'm putting my jacket on, finishing my drink, and I'm trying to call my mate, hello, where's my symbol? And I found him, and he went, "Oh, it's on stage." I'm like, "That's my China." And he's like, "Yeah, I had to borrow it. The one we had wasn't at the right kind of tone or pitch. We just hoped yours would work." I'm like, "Okay." So when I had to go then into the room to get the bag, and Vinny was standing there, and he was all sweaty. And Vinny doesn't really like to. From my experience, doesn't really like to shake hands or whatever.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
And I was like, "Hi, look, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm actually about to leave. Can I grab my bag to grab my China?" And he said, "Oh man," and he gave me a hug. And he went, "Thank you so much. God bless you." I'm like, "Okay, my life's complete. That's it. I'm done."
Yeah, done.
I grabbed the China, and we had a quick chat. I left, and I bumped into him at NAM in 2015 or 16. And he was just walking, and he was like Stevie Wonder. People was like, "Oh my God, it's Vinny, man."
Yeah.
Hey, let's see where we're going. He walked in front of him, and I went, "Oh, yeah, hi, Mr. Collier," because Tal Welkenfield was there as well. I went, "Hi, Tal." No, hi. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, you're from Australia?" I said, "Yeah, from Melbourne." And Vinny's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I've been in Melbourne, done some gigs there." I went, "Yeah, I'll let you in my China." And he went, "Oh, yeah, how's it going?" "Yeah, good." And then he's like, "Oh, well, nice to meet you." And he left. And I've never had anything other interactions with him. So, but you do hear of stories and things.
Yeah.
But I've had bad days too.
Yeah. And it's look, you don't get that level of, for lack of a better term, genius without a few, chinks in the armor. It's just there's only so much room for all of that, artistry, that I feel like things like decorum, social cues, just all that stuff, it doesn't fit.
It's like I've had lessons with drummers, going to their houses and overseas and whatever, and open the door, and it's like, "Oh, cool." The first thing is, "Hey man, nice to meet you. What kind of practice pad do you use?" "I've got Reflex, I've got this, I've got Prologis, I'm like, "I don't know, a practice pad." And apparently Vinny answers the door with a stick and a pad. "Hey man, how's it going? Do you want a practice pad?" No, because he's always playing. He just doesn't stop. So I think it's one of those things you get to. It's either to get to that level you don't stop, but once you get there you can't stop.
Yeah,
and I have to admit, the last couple of months, I've been really horrible with practice. And I'm about halfway through my album, and I just went, "You know what? That's good, but right now it's I've got my wife at home, so she's working from home. I don't have a spot to play. So
oh no.
I have the silent kit going, just to keep limber and keep ideas going.
Yeah.
But I don't have an acoustic space. And then we thought, oh, you know what? We'll deck this room out. We'll gut it. We'll take the walls out. We'll, foam line it. We'll fill it with space expanding foam, and we'll do the roof and build a room in a room in a room and all that kind of stuff. And then now we find out, because we've got house issues, that we really shouldn't do that because we don't know what's going on with the house. So we won't go into that.
Damn.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not, it may or may not come out in the woodwork at some point. But yeah, I'll tell you that later on. But it's always fun. But one thing I do want to is talk about. I've got 2 dogs.
I was going to say at least one.
There goes the other one. Is I never saw you really play in person until we did that shed session with Stan and Chris, and I was like, man, he's an open-handed player. That's rare. You don't see a lot of that these days.
That's something I don't even think about. I keep forgetting. Like when someone brings it up, it's just like, "Hey, open play, open." Like, oh yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's really weird. I'm like,
was this a natural thing? Like, did you wake up one morning and go, "I want to play drums," and this is how I'm doing it, or was this did an instructor say, "Hey, you're really suited to this"? Are you left-handed, or are you? I need answers, Rob. I need to know what's going on with this open-handed.
No, it was.
Because it's so cool. It makes so much sense. It really does.
I'm glad I don't think about it anymore, because sometimes when I think about it like too much, I'm like, there's just like something like not cool, because everything's cooler when you're crossed. When things are crossed, it just looks, like when you do the Vinny thing and you cross over to the China.
Yeah.
It's like, it's sick. But like, no, I think it was like a 2nd or 3rd year into playing. Who was it? It was like, I think a teacher saw me, or my drum teacher saw me like writing something down with the left hand, and it was like, like, even though it's like, my playing was obviously fine up until that point, but then he's just like, oh no, you've got to like swap the whole kit around. And I'm just like, to me in my mind, I'm like, I'm not starting again. Like, and then I was having lessons at school, and then like a private teacher. The private teacher was like, he was a bit more, he was like super old school. Like he was more like, he was got me into like the old fusion stuff. And he's like Billy Cobham style. He's like, oh, try this. And I was able to sort of pick it up, like, I was able to sort of just keep going from there rather than start again with swapping all the way over. And I'm so glad, because it's like, for those like multi-band, like, gigs where you're sharing backline and stuff, and then there's that guy, you got to swap the whole thing around.
Yeah, there's always, it's like everyone at a dinner party, who wants coffee, and everyone says coffee, and there's always one person who goes, I'll have a tea. There's always one. It's like, I remember seeing John Watson with, I can't remember, I think it might have been Vic and Linda Bull, and I was at a John Farnham concert. So Vic and Linda was the opening act, I'm pretty sure. And I remember going, how's this going to work? John's left, and he's a lefty, and Angus is a right. So I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. So all they did was they swapped around like the floor tom, snare drum, and just kind of moved it around. And you wouldn't have noticed, but it's that being that guy. And of course the amount of gigs
everyone's
you
at
do,
dinner.
Everyone's at dinner wants a cup of tea.
It's like, pasta, steak well done. Boo.
Yeah. It's always like, you're at a my wife here. You're at like you're going to like a meat district, steakhouse, and then someone goes, I'm a vegetarian. What do you have? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. People have choices. I support all choices like that, but it's like, you knew you were coming here. I don't know what to. Oh, how's this for you? How's this for service?
Oh, nice.
I needed a pick me up. Don't usually drink the dare stuff or whatever like that, but I needed to. I haven't.
No, it's all right. Actually, I've already smashed my Coke Zero before we started, so you're all good.
I actually don't mind the Coke Zero.
I'm a little bit addicted to it. And I'm not happy about it.
The whole Diet Coke I can't do. It tastes like,
it's weird.
It tastes like feet. It it just tastes like feet.
Thanks for confirming that.
Anytime. What were we talking about again? Now I've lost the train of thought.
Open-handed play.
That's right, open-handed play. So anyway, we'll get back to like the real fundamentals of it, right? I've watched you play, and it's probably besides like Billy Cobham, I can actually look at an open-handed play and going, it looks so right. It actually, you make it look right. It looks smooth, you know, and the way you've set your kit up too, where you've got, you see a lot of open-handed players will have a ride like up here, like you might have Carla Boca like up here or whatever. But yours is you literally transition from the hats to the right. It is so smooth. It is so, it's almost perfection how you've done it. You know, I'm not trying to blow wind up your butt, but what I'm saying is like how you've set it up and how you configured your kit with being open-handed. It makes total sense.
That position, like it took like this, like it has to be like the longest I've had that ride in that spot, and it's like it's sort of, you know, it goes up, it goes down the angle, but it's like where it is now is like the longest it's been, and it like is the most and because it is just like the most natural sort of vibe, and like I thought I used to think it was like to the left, but whenever I can see a photo, it's actually like almost in the center a little bit. But yeah, whenever I look at like at least, you know, most of the open hand, you know, dudes that I see, like the really well-known ones, just, you know, like like Simon Phillips and Carter Beaufort, and it's like kind of like this thing, it's like right up here, and I kind of get it because you get like that access to the hats.
You get it, but
you know,
but when you think about it, going from, let's just say you wanted to do like the double hand, you want to have your right hand on the ride, your left hand on the hats. Yeah. This then becomes, you kind of can't do that. You have to do this. Whereas you're going from here, and now I can do that. So your setup means that you are completely open-handed on the foundation, like the foundation symbols. Like you're actually not crossing over at all.
I definitely didn't go that deeply about it. And you know, I think part of it was also, you know what? Like now I think about it, because when you were talking about like those mechanics, I may have done it like subconsciously in that when it was like, so what, I would have been like 18. I did like, you know, Steve Gadd's The Solo, like that piece.
The Crazy Army Solo, yeah.
Not Crazy Army. It's the one. It's the other one.
Yeah.
It's the other one, and it's called The Solo.
The Solo.
And, which has like, you know, that sort of typical like that Gadd ride and hats groove where it's like all singles. And I think that was like to play that groove. Like, and I'm playing it as, I played the whole thing as transcribed. So with the right hand leading. So in order to do that properly, it's just like, because if your ride's over here, then it's like, well, you know, what the fuck? But if you're going, then, rather than having the ride over here, it's, if it's like, this is a nice little middle ground, because I can just sort of play the ride and hats, you know, just as singles, but just right here. So super uncomfortable at first, because like you're having to play it as a righty, but yeah, that's probably why I would have wound up there, because I have had like to the far left on the other side of the hats. I've had that in the past.
Yep.
Just about anywhere. You know, anytime my playing wasn't any good and I thought I could solve it just by moving this, and it would fix everything. But like, that could be a big part of it, because I remember that being a big part of getting that piece up and running.
Now,
but I'm working on Crazy Army at the moment.
Ooh, it's I actually played. I think I got through by memory the first half of it the other day, and I was like, because I learned how to do. I learned how to do the Crazy Army solo. John Corniola made me do it, and it was fun. He made me do it because I did something in class back at Oxford College, as we've all, you know,
there you go,
been through. And I learned how to do. I don't know if I did it right or wrong, but Steve Gadd 84 Zildjian Day, where he plays the solo, or a big part of the solo, and he's doing the single foot, the 16th notes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does he do that? His leg's only going up 8th notes, but he's generating
doing like
yeah. But it took me a couple of weeks of watching it over and over again. This is a kid, so I'm wearing the tape out pretty quick, and I can see his reflection in the bass drum head, in the pinstripe bass drum. I'm like, I can see what his foot's doing, but I don't know why it's doing that. And then his knees do it, and so obviously he is doing 16th notes with his foot, and he's only doing an 8th note with his knee, kind of the motion, like a stick motion. So I really kind of looked into that, couldn't quite figure it out, and then I really started getting into a lot of Virgil, and he was doing a lot of one hand, one foot, like 16th notes really fast around the kit, both hands. I'm like, I can't do that, but I'm going to try it, and worked it out. And then one day I was just playing on the kit and worked out that rocker motion.
Yeah.
And this is before Google and YouTube and all those lovely places. And had another friend of mine. It's like, I've been working on this. I don't know if it's right or not, but it kind of works. It's kind of wet with it. And when I got to Boxer College of Music, I was playing in C1 performance, where you had to do, I think if I remember correctly, one performance a fortnight, I think it was. We had to play at least a piece or in a band. I ended up playing in a band and doing that at one point. And John was in the room, and he dragged me out like after classes, and he grabbed my shoulders and goes, "You have to do the solo. Like, you have to do Crazy Army." I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I own it, but I never tried to play it. And then I entered the drummers competition in the up and coming. And so I worked on the piece for a couple of weeks. He said, right, film all your pieces. Film, you did all the standard Dave Weckles, contemporary drummer, Isle of Magic. Did some 1/32 of Will Coxon's All American Drummer. Did all the standard, when you're a Melbourne drummer doing the comp. I wonder if year after year the judges are like, I wonder what he's going to play. VHS. So John only played my Crazy Army solo. He said, I'm not going to stray anything else. And I think it's at 120 BPM. I think it is. I think it's might be a bit quicker. 126, I think it is.
The solo?
Yeah. No. Crazy Army.
Really?
Yeah. And I was able to play it at speed with the single foot. And I was like, I did it, and then I went and did the live performance of judging in front of everyone, and in front of all the judges, and I think it was Don Famularo, John, Frank Cornell, Darren Ferrugia, kind of my idols, in Melbourne.
So you're in the top 3?
They did the top 10. So, and that whittled you down to the top 6, and the 6 was the live performances. So I went in and they said, right, John's like, just do Crazy Army. That's it. Don't have to do. I'm like, I brought my CD with contemporary, and no, just do this. You fold the piece out, you start playing it, and I got 7th, which was, I think, not bad for one piece. I guess it's not bad. I didn't get to the finals or whatever, but that whole rocker motion thing was a complete fluke, and it wasn't until Gay was out here 2 years ago I could actually ask him, "Am I doing it right?" Like, and I got to ask him, and then I went on stage at the clinic, and he showed me. I'm like, "Oh, cool! So I'm doing it right." Like,
sick.
Doing it for 23 plus years, and no idea how I even came about. But anyway, that's the Crazy Army solo. I've never done the solo. I've never tried it.
But it's also like, I mean, if you're doing like whatever you're doing and it's making the noise, then you're doing it correctly.
It's like the JoJo thing, if it's the sound.
You're throwing a trash can out a window.
He's got perfect technique.
Yeah. Dude, like that, I've used that so many times. Like the second you started saying, "Oh, the JoJo thing," I'm like, yes.
Oh man,
it sums it up so perfectly though, and it's sort of like a real.
I do add to it though. I tell my students if you're throwing a garbage can at the window and it makes the exact sound you need, you've got perfect technique, as long as you don't hurt yourself. So having the fundamentals of grip, You know,
Yeah,
I've got one drummer who is a massive fan of a certain YouTuber, which I will not divulge the name. We won't go into that. And he mashes the left hand like straight on the snare drum, like, but and he holds it, and you can see when he's playing it. By the time he hits it and then goes to thinking about playing a ghost note, you can see the tension in his arm. I'm trying to explain. It's like everything has a purpose. Everything a way. If that's the sound you need, then great. But there's a way you can do it safely, because at some point, all that energy that's going up your arm is going to come.
You got to pay for it.
It's going to come back to bite you. Because like what? Like you could have carpal tunnel. You can get arthritis, like advanced arthritis. Like at your age, you don't want to be 28 going, I've got carpal tunnel. I've got to have my my wrist done. I mean, you're out for 6 weeks, if not longer. And it's just a simple technique change, and that's when he said, "Oh, but this YouTuber does it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's dude, that's the internet." It's like,
and especially when they're like, it's, like a lot of these YouTube people, they're big established, players. It's like, hey, working for them, and it's like, and we might not be thinking of the same person, but I immediately thought of like a really like well-established player who does the same thing. And some people have sort of said, oh yeah, but they actually do that to get a sound, because that actually gives you a more muffled sound. I'm like, more moon gel, like nothing is worth these.
Hey, Play-Doh. Don't ask me what wallet, big fat snare drum. It's and that's the thing. It's like, but the thing is, like, if you need to do it once or twice, you need to get a sound at some point. Absolutely. But if you're going to bury it, and I play trad, so it's even worse, because it puts so much pressure on your thumb, on the fulcrum.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's been 6 months, and I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm actually starting to get a little bit worried, because you're tensing up so much now that when you're putting your stand, like your hand on or stick on the snare drum, I can visibly see your hand start to shake, like you're holding it so hard.
Oh wow!
So I've given him like basically a whole bunch of exercises for the next 2 weeks to basically play everything at a 99% reduction of volume, and just think about. And I said, I really want you to try this. I've never tried it because I know I'll break it, but I want you to do this. I want you to gaffer tape an egg to your snare drum. Ooh. And that's what I want you to tap on, right? And that's all I want you to do. Singles, doubles, parallels, slowly. And he's been doing really well. I said, right, and I'm going to show you some great players, like not just overseas players like Vinny Gadd. And I introduced him to Vinny Gadd, Weckl, Thomas Lang, and whatnot. But even Thomas does it a lot as well.
And he's got the scars.
He's got scars. He knows, but he's like, "Yep, go for it." And I watch these players. You'll see that when they need to do it, they can rip it out. Right, yeah. But if he said, "But I really want," and then he came out and said, "I really want that dead muffled sound." I said, "Then you don't need to buy a $3,000 snare drum, for starters. You could put a Remo or an Evans ringer around it. You could put moon gel, gaffer tape, the taco which flips over, whatever you want to do. If that's the sound you need, then that's just a tuning and accessory issue. That's not a technique issue." And and so far, I saw him play the other day quickly. He showed me a Zoom thing. Like his hands improved 1,000,000% in a week. And he's like, I don't have elbow pain. My shoulder doesn't hurt. My knuckles don't burn. I'm like, then does that say for you in this instance, you were maybe doing something not badly, but just not showing a correct method or a method to get you out of that? And I have this argument with people all the time. Like, it's just like, please don't do that, because I don't want to see you get hurt. I don't want to see you out on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's like how, like, I mean, please just, if it requires like one of those like oral spectrometers or whatever the fuck it is to show me like exactly why you have to destroy your finger or any other part of your hand and arm above all other things, the gels and the big fat snare drum and all of those other things. if that's what it takes for you to be like, see that frequency there, you can't get that with these things. Just like, okay, well, probably not the move then. Hey, like, it's like, it's how does it sound at the PA? That's kind of like whenever, like, once again, like as long as the students aren't hurting themselves, it's great. Like, I'll shoot for that too. And it's like whenever they're sort of confused about doing this or that or the other, it's just like, how does this sound coming out of the speaker? Like,
and you know what the thing is though, and then if you even think broader than that, the amount of people in the audience who are going to notice or care.
Exactly right.
I guess in the gigs you do, the music you play, especially with the bigger gigs, you will actually have a lot of musos, and especially drummers will pay attention to what you're doing, because it's not not just a cover band. You're actually doing touring act original music. So people are buying tickets and lining up in line to get into a venue to watch you and enjoy the music, not just like, I'm going to the bar, so they're actually going to pay attention to it. So, but before we continue longer, I have to ask you, that beautiful kit behind you, what is that? Is that a pure reference?
Reference pure. Reference pure. It was just like,
because you're now, you have been for a while, endorsed by Pearl, Zildjian, Remo, and Vic Firth.
Not Vic and Zildjian just yet. I
actually thought you were. I mean, I might have just not computed that properly.
It's the thing where it's like, it's sort of, it's under the, like the dynamic banner. So it's like there is, but for all intents and purposes, it's like on paper, Pearl, and Remo.
Send a text message off like, hey, I want to play this music. Cool. It's like, when it's under the one banner, it's so much easier.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's but yeah, so this is the kit that I got when I signed on, and I was just kind of like, give me the deepest sizes possible out of these diameters. So
and when you think about it, sorry to interrupt, like, so anyone who doesn't know who Rob is, Rob plays a lot of like metal, like he's a metal guy, right? And not just metal, but that's really a good forte of yours. And you don't play a really big kit. You actually play minimally, and it works so well. It's actually really refreshing to see as well.
I've never like felt that, like, I've kind of like stuck with like I don't want to just, I've run out of things to play, I'm just going to do the same thing, but on this third stack combination, or whatever. Like,
these 8 toms I've just added today, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I did a gig. If anything, I've like gone backwards. I did have like the 2 kicks for a while, but it was purely for the triggering aspect. It's just much more accurate doing it that way. It's like,
and if you're doing bigger gigs, it's
sick. It's so sick.
I mean, well, why wouldn't you have 2 if you got 2?
Yeah. So, but when I was doing a tour with I Built the Sky, which is like, even though it's prog and jet and all that stuff, it still has like a punk rock thing going on. And we did a gig in Perth, and the back line was just a 4-piece. And me being me, I just like had a like sort of this internal meltdown where I'm like 1 up, 1 down, no, like, because it's I've always just been 5-piece, nice cruisy, 2 toms right here for your rolls and what have you. But that gig actually wound up being just super, super fun, and kind of brought out like that sort of punk rock kind of spirit. And I actually haven't gone back. Like, I've sort of just, for the fun of it, you probably can't see it from here, but I've started setting up the 10-inch tom on my left.
I can just see it next to your hats. Yeah, no, I do see it. Yeah.
I've started doing that like, it's like, firstly, I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's there, like, so.
Well, when you think about it, like, and I'm trying to think in the mind of Rob, so you're.
Don't do that.
No.
You could have badly.
It's not that messy up there. Can't sleep. It makes sense. So if you're doing a rock fill, like, and went from, say, you had 10, 12, 14, right? Basic, or 10, 12, 16, whatever, and you wanted to go taka-do, bar, right? You're open-handed. You can go taka-do, and then your left hand straight in the crash, and then you're back. So it actually makes complete logic. Like, it's completely ergonomical. It just makes so much sense when you start doing fills like that.
The annoying thing is that, like, I've just like committed insane amounts of time to doing like all right-handed fills. So it's kind of like I kind of haven't really taken full advantage of just being open-handed, and like right now, like my right-handed lead is more competent than my left. Like, I actually have to work on my left-hand lead, not my actual left hand,
but lead, the principle,
which it's still there. And when I have to lead with my right, I still have to sort of think, depending on what the fill is. But the transitions aren't as nice because I'm like, if you're like, say, you crossed over, your right hand's here, and you just transition straight into your fill because you're already playing eighths in that hand. Whereas, like, if I'm already playing eighths over here, and then it's like, then the fill starts here, so it can feel a little bit like changing the reels a little bit.
Yep.
Whereas, like, that continuity isn't there. And it wasn't until, like, I was hearing stuff on recordings where it's like, I'm doing just these weird little things that they're not particularly pleasing, but I can hear that they're purely there to set up the fill. But yeah, this is just kind of more to make me think a little bit differently about fills, like, and also deliberately, like, tuned it like way up as well. So it doesn't sound or feel like it's part of this,
it's almost
1, 2, 3.
It's almost like an auxiliary tom. It's not an actual right. That makes sense. No, I get that. And
it's good for the jammy vibes, but and I'd like to work it into, like, say, the album I'm working on with Mirrors at the moment. So I'm sort of seeing where I can integrate it. I took it to a cover band gig. I think I hit it 3 times, just to, because that's like, as it's like, it's a fairly safe environment for, like, it's going to bring this along and see where it could work without being too much of a pain about it. Because I've seen you take the I've seen you use, like, the pancake. Is it the pancake drum or something like the?
Yeah, I still have it. It is wrapped up in a whole bunch of bubble wrap at my parents' house. I used it quite a lot. It was about a 3-month period. It was like, I love this thing. It's like, take it everywhere with me.
They sound great.
It sounds through a PA, and the last time I used it, the guy had a D6, like, right underneath in the middle. Maybe about away from it, and I hit it, and it wasn't like a thud. It was like like a massive, just like a wolf, and I hit it, and even I felt it through the floor, and I'm like, right, I'm going to use this all night,
it's going to annoy everyone.
And I had the worst separation as well. I had 10 by 8, 16 by 16, and then a gong drum. It's like high, low, and then just earthquake, it's just completely and, like, I think I was doing a Belinda Carlisle track, and I did the fill, and I ended on this floor tom on the gong drum, and the whole band just turned around and was like, but you can't do that in a Belinda Carlisle song.
But
no. And it just came out like doing the big 80s rock stadium ends, and then I was doing the ladder, how you do, right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, I was doing, and I was doing that around the kid, and then the singer of the band turned around and go back, don't go high, go down, just at the end of the song, and it was great. But then carrying it around, it doesn't fit the case. So you got to carry it. Like, look at me, and you're walking through the car park at Crown, like, hi, So then eventually I started doing more wedding gigs, and then doing more corporate stuff. And it's just like, well, it's just one more thing to carry. I got to carry a whole extra stand for it now.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying I'm lazy,
Yeah.
but I actually had this conversation with another drummer, that will come out soon, about gear. And like you've got, but when you obviously did having double kicks at some point, I used to take the most stupid amount of crap to a cover gig.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like Palladium Crown or Stakeout or whatever it was, just a pub gig. I had, I think I had my Pearl kit, my Pearl BLX, which I still got, 8, 10, 12, 14, 20 by 16, 2 snares, 3 sets of hats. So I had a set of, I think I had a sort of 14 quick beats, 10-inch recording hats, and 14 or 13 A custom hats. Then I had 4 crashes, a China, a ride, and 2 splashes to play Jesse's Girl, And I did that for you, and a rack. How was a rack?
Yeah.
So just ridiculously stupid. Double pedal, you got a double pedal. And then I got the Yamaha kit, and then I went 10, 12, 14, 16, 22, dropped the rack, and then went stands with the same amount of crap, Yeah. And then I scaled it back eventually and went 10, 14, 16, And then I think I did for a few years. And then one night I decided I just got an 18-inch floor tom. And I'm like, I'm going to use this tonight. And I rang up sound engineer and said, I need extra mics tonight. I said, it's a 32-channel desk, not a problem. I had 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 2 snare drums, 2 sets of hat, and like stupid amount of cymbals. And I'm like, I got to the point, I can't do this anymore. I'm getting home at 4 a.m. from a 2 a.m. finish. So now my gigging kit, and this is even corporate. I use an EP kit, which is 12, 14, 20 flat bass cymbal stands, and I can carry my hardware in a 22-inch hard case and my bass drum in one load. I can be 2 loads, I'm out.
That's sick.
I'm done,
That's sick.
I just got I did my back at one point, So I've actually been lucky. I've never suffered a drum-related injury, but they have caused me. And it's usually the load in, the load out. I've stretched my bicep a couple of times. That was pretty horrible. Jarred my knee when I fell down a set of stairs, and I've done some weird things but I've never hurt myself actually playing, got in a carpal tunnel or anything like that. But the whole gear thing, that's why I look at you and you go, Rob plays a lot of prog, metal, whatever, and you look at the kit and you go, are you sure? Are you positive? It's a bit small, but it's actually not. It actually works, and you do a really good job of what you've got.
Oh, thanks. And there probably is a bit of laziness in there too, because when I did that one I Built the Sky gig with the 4-piece, not only was heaps of fun and had all the other stuff, it was sick. One less thing I have to worry about backline wise. Great. So but a lot of it does come back to that that playing thing. It's just the additional sounds don't seem like the solution for me. And it's not and that's not to say that I judge other people for doing it, because I'll hear people, they'll do a fill that creates this little melody between a few splashes. I'm ooh, that's real nice. And
and you go, that was perfect there and then, that was great. But you listen to their playing in general, and that's their style. They'll do little bits of colour,
Yeah.
But then you see guys who got these, some people just go out and go, I'm going to get the biggest kit I can get,
Yeah.
And then they don't use the tools they've got available to them in a practical sense, I'm running 2 up, 2 down right now. A 17 crash, a 15, and a 22 ride. That's it. I haven't got anything extra. It's just, even then I'm thinking I might ditch the 16, just have 10, 12, 14, because most of my playing is between the 10 and the 14 anyway.
Yeah. But it does something to my playing as well. There's so the Dave Haley, the person I share the room with, he's got he recently got himself a new reference, and he's got so what do we got? When he's got it all set up, you've got 4 up, 2 down. So it's it's 8, 10. I mean, like, you know, like for people who like are aware of him, like he's like he's like pretty much like the Aussie death metal guy, but not in strictly death metal. He's very, very tasteful. Just he learns off Darren Farrugia.
Nice.
So he's got like all those tasty elements too. Like he's excellent, and but you know, still Dave Lombardo to the grave. So you got like 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16.
Right.
And whenever I sort of, if I like sort of sit down and and like have a bit of a play, it's just like all gone. Like I can't do any of it's like, and it's not even that like, oh, I can't do this thing that like, you know, that I normally do. I can't pull it off. It's just, it's not there. It's just like file not found. And then I walk to the other side of the room and it's just like, oh, there it is. It's just, oh,
yeah.
You know, it's so bizarre. It's like I'm trying to do it and I can't. It's just not there. You sort of find that when you go from kit to kit, because like nowadays, I'm in full Keith Carlock sack riding mode. I've always been a huge Keith fan, but now it's like, you know, I've got coated heads on everything. I've got no dampening on anything. There's nothing in my kick drum. I've had to put. I actually found out that I've got to have a little something in there because I had did tune the kick up a bit, and I had like a cushion in there. And then I think it was, what was I doing? I think I was changing heads. I'm like, I'm gonna have nothing in there. And I actually found that the
was it the head in the battle was kind of like
it wasn't so much that. I think it was actually the reflection off the bare wood was a huge problem. It was like even though like the cushion when it was in there wasn't touching either head, but you were getting like that really awful that basketball noise, like that, you know, like boing kind of thing.
Oh,
not the cool one.
The beach ball.
The beach ball thing. So I think you just need, you know, even with like all the open vibes, to have something in there that's, even if it's not contacting, to just absorb a bit of that, but still have like the big open thing, because it's like when you've got more space after your note, you just feel less compelled to do as much. Like you've said what you need to say when you just go like, doof, it's like, yes. And also getting onto the bouncing the beater off the head as well. That was a huge one, courtesy of having a lesson with Brody Simpson a while ago. We talked about that, and we did it from here. And I just turned to the kid. I'm just like, 1 sec, and I'm like, oh my God, just that, because obviously I've been bearing, you know, this whole time.
I'm a natural off the head guy. I know, weird.
No, it's cool.
It's when I'm doing like 4 on the floor dance tracks, you know, when everyone's like, you know, in the crowd kind of thing. That's not a problem. But I just find if I'm playing in general, I hit it and it comes off. But that can cause, I found, if I'm playing, so I like to have minimal stuff in my bass drum. Like, so a little bit of something touching both heads, just a little, you know, it could be a jacket, a towel, you know, I won't go the full pillow, but then some sound guys are like, I'm getting a weird kind of like a low end, like a hum, you know, like what's going on, or a rumble that's after the bass drum actually hitting the note. And it could be even after the second set of a third set gig. And I'm like, oh, I play off the bass drum. So I'll hit do a full hit, like hit and hold it, and then it goes away. It's just gone. It doesn't even happen. So then it's like, I'll have to put something in your bass drum. And then I had to give the sound guy some bad news. I said, remember, at this gig, I'm actually playing a full head. So kind of can't. I have to take everything off, you know.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You realise, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he mic'd it up, and it sounded great. It sounded phenomenal. But I was going through the whole full front head, you know, and annoying sound guys, you know, a lot.
And that also encourages like the bouncing off the head as well, because like once or twice where like I've sort of been using someone else's kit and it doesn't have a hole cut in it, and it's like if you're someone who buries into the head, you feel the full, like all that air that's in there, like fighting back. And at the time,
and you hear that like almost that second bass drum ghost note. You can't.
It's horrible. And both those times were times where with Hadal Moore, where I was like playing with triggers. Oh, like you're talking like a double fire city. So luckily one time was in a recording session. I borrowed a kit, and I'm like, luckily I had my stuff as well, and I just ran and quickly took my head off the front, swapped it over, and I'm like, it's never experienced it, but it turned out I discovered how much of a difference it made, because now the air escapes out the front and you feel it, like you hit it and just goes out the front. Now not so much a problem, because like I've added that into my playing, that off the head thing, because it's the sickest. Like when I was like mucking around with it, it's not only do you get all that additional resonance, but it's a much more pure tone as well, because when you bury, you actually push the head and you get just the tiniest little pitch bend. So, but also having said that, it's good because now I've got both, because I was doing a recording session recently and I was like self-engineering. So naturally I've gone down the rabbit hole. So I was just like, mucking around with the kick sound a whole bunch, and just being so limited in my abilities. I'm just thinking about like what I can change on the drumming end to get more of the sound that I want. And in that particular case, it was like burying was actually the option, because it just controlled the sound more, got more attack. So it's like, well, cool. Yeah. Like I've got both of those, at my disposal now. So
sweet.
But
nice.
Man, that off the head thing has been like the biggest thing that I've added to my playing.
I think I started doing it simply out of just I was watching an instructional DVD or DCI video or something, and then I was having some on and off lessons with like Darren and some other people as well, and we were talking about it, and I said I just it doesn't, playing on the head, actually burying the beat doesn't feel right to me. So and playing off the head actually came more natural. So I guess you could say I was lucky, but I mean they both have their pros and cons, so to speak. I find if I'm playing 4 on the floor for too long, I start to get a little bit of not an ache, but my leg will get tired because I'm constantly doing this,
Yeah,
and
you're constantly in motion. You don't get to like rest at the end of it.
I know you get to rest it, So if I'm doing like a 12-minute, ABBA medley or whatever, I could get to 10 minutes and go, I might need to go on my left foot. Which has happened occasionally here and there. But so, as I said, it has its
to be fair, like, because my covers work is just it's all fill-in stuff, so I don't have like a regular covers gig. It's just like, hey, you free, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm the same. That's pretty much all I do.
Yeah, and look, and we could very well get into this because we've sort of both had like experience over a long amount of time, because it seems like that kind of is the scene. But just real quick, when I do get those calls, I actually, it's not like, it's cover gig. It's like, it's just so easy. It's all the same shit. I actually have to actively condition for a covers gig now, for like the 3 sets of just like relentless 2 and 4 and 8th notes and all that kind of stuff. It's like I actually have to condition in advance.
Well, yeah, because you're like on the other end, like you're doing prog rock and that side of things. It's like it's full on, it's physical, but it's not a consistent. It's different. It's a different kind of physical exertion. Whereas playing a cover
band, the sets are shorter too. It's like you're doing like a 45-minute set, but if you're doing like 340s plus of like, and they're all sitting in these tempo range where it's like very like high power, high intensity in terms of like your volume, and also just like the sheer like volume. It's just like 8th notes, 2 and 4, just relentless. So like last time I sort of just jumped in. It's like let's have a little set list. Yeah, we're good. See you Saturday. And just went in and did it. Like I was feeling it like 2 days later. Like it was just my hips and shoulders, and during the gig I was just like get tired, just the whole thing. So next time, like, so it's not even dusting off the tunes. It's like
it's just getting physically prepared.
It's like, yeah, I'm running through Jesse's Girl. I'm running through Run to Paradise. Like, just to get my body, just to get my body back into it, so I can make it through.
Stakeout was 4 sets, so 10 till 2, and I think the weirdest week I did there, we did 8 gigs in a row. So I'd go to work, and it was literally across the road.
Right.
And I'd literally just drive my car from across the road and park it, like downstairs. And so I'd turn up, do the gig, get back in the car, drive home, get home at, leave the gear set up kind of thing, and then get up at 7 in the morning, go to work, and I didn't start playing till 10, but there's no point in me going home. So I'd practice or catch up with friends, go have dumplings at Tattersalls Lane, at Cammy's, whatever, and so every night for 8 nights, and I think the only night I got a break at the start of the gig was Christmas. I think it was New Year's Day, and I was actually doing. No one was there. It was completely empty, and so the first 2 sets I had off, and then we were thinking maybe I just won't play tonight. Those 2 boys will do a trio thing, and then out of nowhere, just like people like packed. So I was doing 4 sets a night, for 7 nights, and the last gig I did 2. So, but I mean, that's been my kind of life. Like, so when someone says, 3-set gig, I'm like, okay, it's not a, but if someone said to me, 45-minute full prog, thrash metal, I'd be like, I'd call you and go, can you do it? Or I need some serious lessons right now for a good solid week about how to try and do this gig, because, you get to the age, and you get to, like you were saying, like, I don't know how to say no. I guess to say over the years, I know where my capabilities are. Like I've been asked, can you do, hey, do you want to join a metal band? I'm like, I'd love to, but my feet just aren't conditioned for it. They're not, I mean, it's not that I couldn't get them there, but I'm just not made like that, So those gigs come up, and those studio calls, like, can you play thrash? I'm like, I probably could maybe guess it, make it okay, but it's I can't. I just start to say, look, I can't guarantee I can even pull this off. So, and then I just reel out like 3 other guys' names, like Dean Kennedy, yourself, Chad Blaster, all those guys, and go, these are the guys who they excel. This is their listening pleasure. I mean, I listen to Meshuggah. I actually really like Meshuggah. And I go, I could handle Meshuggah. Like, I could listen to the Destroy, Roast, Improve, like, all the way through, non-stop. But then I have to give it a break because it's,
it's a lot of info.
It's a lot of info, and especially Future Breed Machines, one of my favorite tracks they've ever done, and I saw them live a couple of times. So, you see me there going, like screaming out to them, and like, what did you do last night? And he goes, who did you go see? I said, I went and saw, I went and saw, basically a metal band, like, thrashing it on stage. I was near the mosh pit, but I wasn't joining in. It's like, don't you play in a rock cover band? Like, don't you play groove stuff? Yeah, man. But like, if you saw my playlist on, like, Spotify, iTunes, whatever you go, it makes no sense. There's no continuity to it at all whatsoever. So,
yes, likewise. But Meshuggah's a different beast, particularly live. Like, what they've been doing over the past few years with their live show is unlike. I will unequivocally say that Meshuggah is the best live band I've ever seen.
Oh,
like what they just what their sound, and and now they've got like that light show that's just completely programmed to to what they're doing. It is an experience unlike anything I've just I'd seen them previously like a whole bunch of times where they just come out and just do the thing, but they've just sort of hit this thing where they've just created what they're doing into a real experience. And I think it's because they're kind of like, I think even like the biggest fans probably just get a bit weary of just like 5 dudes in black t-shirts just moshing and playing this thing. Now they've got this insane stage, all-consuming stage setup with light show, coupled with the most ridiculous live sound you've ever heard, played to utter perfection. Where like, he's an animal. He's just like,
you know, and they play some of the music 20 BPM faster, and it's still tight
and slower. Like there's like sort of slower breakdown bits where like I've gone just they'll go it the other way where like, and I'll sort of, you know, afterwards gone and found like a YouTube video where, you know, someone's filmed it and I'm like, I swear that's slower, and then sort of played the video and then like tapped it out on a metronome and then gone and found the recording. It's like, yeah, they slowed this bit down by 15 BPM and it made it unbearably huge. And because like there might be a bit where say everyone stops and everyone's on click track and then their timing is so spot on that there's like, it's just like everyone all at once, just perfect transient. Like if you just like zoomed all the way in, it would just be this perfect line, and it just it hits you. It's just like like your body is just not ready for it.
It's like when I saw
stunning.
I saw On the Verge many years ago, like in the 90s, and they did they did their normal, you know, Dream Theater cover set like hour, but before they did covers, and they did Killing in the Name Of, right? And you know how when it comes from the intro into the verse, it slows down by like 4 beats a minute. It's like
so do you like that?
Yeah. And they started the track. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good, pretty heavy. Like, really digging this. And then they came in, and their tempo had dropped the exact same amount in going, and all the musos are like, oh. You know, and it was absolute perfection. Anyone who could do that they've got definitely kudos to them, because that stuff's really difficult when it's not like half breakdown. It's like, oh, this section is 15 beats per minute slower. And you're like, how does that work? How do you even okay? You know, I mean, I know if I tried, and I have done it to click tracks before, where you're doing medleys and you hear. Like you might have a
you do the ABBA medley where you got to like change into you know, Mamma Mia, and then you go like you know, you like catch up.
Yeah, it's like I did a rock medley where there was Cher in there as well, and Whitesnake or whatever, and the tempo would, you know, they'd try to make it a little bit more even, right? But then it's like da ga ga boom gonk 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 da, you know, because then your body is this. I want to play faster, but it's like conditioned to that 4 minutes, and now I have to play, you know, 30 beats a minute slower. You know?
Oh, so this would be like the full song, then the full song, then the full song kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We I think the weirdest set I did, and they threw it at me at the gig. They went, "Oh, so you're okay with that last set medley?" I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Classic.
It's a 42-minute long. Basically, no stopping medley. It doesn't stop. You get a break to have a drink, you know, bits and pieces, whatever. It's to a click track. I'm sitting there going, dude.
For real?
I'm filling in for somebody else. I'm actually filling in for the fill-in, which is even weirder. And this is at a wedding, and it's a 42-minute, like, okay, I need to write this down. And then I'm like, how am I going to go through a 42-minute medley in? We'll just do some changes. We just do the bits and pieces, whatever. I'm writing it out on napkins, bits of paper, like, you know, like little notes and stuff. I'm like, right, okay, that's right. Here it is. It's all laid out. You know, everything's good to go. You know, right, cool. All right, this is going to be messy. I'll do you go. If I can do it at 80%, you know, my 80% is going to be better than, you know, the crowd's 80% because they're not going to know the difference. Right? So door opens up, my little notes just fall out. So I'm like, right. So I'm looking at things, because bits and pieces would go, we have 2 bars interchange of this, and we have a bar of that in the middle. I'm like, right, well, I don't know that now. And then it was just like 42 minutes of just a heart attack of stress. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, freaking out. I'm going, if I'm going to earn my $400, it's right here, you know. And of course, you're looking at the bass like this, you know, like just I need, please watch, you know. Yeah, no worries. And then the whole band goes back to their respective spots and don't turn around.
Give you nothing.
Give you nothing. So I know the songs, which is good, but the endings are all different. You know, they've got some Toto endings in there, which are those real, like, almost semi-elaborate, like, or, you know, I kind of know what that. I've heard you guys do it before, like a demo tape you sent me, and like, oh, okay. Gets to the end of it, and it's like I'm panting for a drink. I'm sweating, you know. I'm like, and they're like, "Yeah, you did great." I'm like, "That was the worst set I've ever played in my life. That was horrible." It's like, "No, man, you did great. You did a killer," you know. And when you did that fill in the middle, like, I'm like, "No, that wasn't a fill. That was me dropping a stick and like going, oh, I'm going," picking up a stick and go, you know, like, like being an animal for 8 seconds, just trying to figure out where I am. But yeah, it's like those kind of situations, you know.
I'm kind of, it's weird. It's like, and it's probably like really bad. Like I'm kind of like good with it now in the sense that maybe I'm just like, just eating shit too many times where it's like, oh, it's going to be one of these, is it? All right. You know, and it's like, and I think I did like, and I kind of have like, for better or worse, like earned like a reputation is probably is that saying yes thing where it's like, 24 hours notice. Yeah, Rob will do it. And it's like, I don't think
you get 24 hours notice. You're lucky. I get like the phone call, like, what are you doing now?
Oh, wow. No, I haven't had that one. Oh, man.
I get that probably a lot. Like, I'd probably say maybe 50,
dude, that's pretty.
50% of my work is generally like, oh, where do you live? Oh, I'm in Cranbourne. Great, we're doing a wedding at some winery half down the road. Are you free? You know, I'm like, I don't want to go to a wedding because they don't tell you. You're like, I don't want to go to a wedding. Whose wedding is it? It's like, drummer can't do it. Can you do it? Yeah, sure.
And sorry, how does this happen this often? How does a drummer fall out of the gig that close to the gig that often? That is crazy.
I don't know the drummer. I usually just cool, Dan. Just let me know. I'll bring my gear. It's in the car already, whatever. Yeah. But usually, if it's around summertime or footy season, had too much to drink, that's always been a good one. And then, but I've had calls like, what are you doing Saturday? And it's Thursday. You're like, oh yeah, nothing. I'm just like, I've got like, I've actually got the Saturday night off. It's great, cool. Can you fly out to Singapore tomorrow? Like. Do you have they don't ask you, do you have a passport? It's like, can you fly out? Well, I could. I'm sick tomorrow from my boss, back then. Yeah. Cool. All right. I just need your full name, your date of birth, on your passport, all your passport details. Gig pays this much. You fly in the Friday you fly out Friday morning at like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, cool. And you're flying back out at 11:30 that night. So it's a red eye and, it pays this much. And you're like, okay. And you have that moment, cool, all right, but just bring cymbals and a snare drum if you want, pedals, but it's a whole full back line, like, okay. And it's that moment where you hang the phone up and go, like, what just happened? Yeah. And you kind of go, yeah, they're not going to book me a ticket. This is a joke. And then you get an email half an hour later with your boarding pass. You're like, I guess I'm going, Yeah. And then you fly in, you get picked up from the airport, you get driven to the gig. Massive corporate $1 billion company, like, production of the works, whatever. You're doing all pub gig songs, Run the Power, all the normal, some ABBA, you're doing, and some requests, whatever. It's like, oh, do you know any Akka Daka? You're like, I guess I do. Yeah, I know, And they might throw some songs. You know what, there, Piper? Average scratch. Do you know any Akka Daka? You're like, oh, AC/DC. Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, I know some. It's not a problem. And you do the gig, you're in the car back to the airport, right? And then it's like, okay, we'll just pay you cash, And it's like, okay, cool. And you don't think about the money. You just think about, I physically don't even believe I'm still here. Like, how did this happen? Yeah. And it's like, they pay you
cash. I may as well have just taken a taxi here,
Yeah, it's like, all right, so, I've got like a lot of cash. I'm like, this is incredible. I love this. This is great. And then that happened so regularly that I didn't book Saturday night gigs. Hey, what are you doing?
Wow.
Yeah. I think the worst situation I've been in is that kind of overseas gig. It's like I've had a phone call at 4 a.m. and that, like, can you fly out to, Western Australia to today? I'm like, today? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, as in like in 3 or 4 hours time, because our singer or our drummer is stuck with the volcanoes cut fly. Can you make it here? I'm like, yeah, you book it. What's it pay? You find out the details. And I usually don't even care about the money because it's so awkward situation. Even just to help out, like, I'm happy to do the gig, and you fly over there and it's a great hang, and you stay there for a day or two. Like even then, those things, you get a phone call from a mate going, hey, what are you doing next week? Oh, I got work and gigs and whatever. Hey, do you want to come to Fiji for a week and do a gig? You're like, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. How many gigs are you doing? Just one. So they're paying for you to be there for the week after you've done the gig. And you fly back. I'm like, I've just been paid for a week holiday. It's brilliant, So I get like people down the road, hey, can you do a gig tonight kind of thing? Like, yeah. Can you get here in half an hour? Like to be set up and sound checked like by this time? And like, yeah, I can do that. Those are the kind of gigs I get called for a lot.
That's intense. I mean, and as I was like alluding to earlier, like you do that enough times, you kind of just get used to that kind of pressure. And a lot of the time is when you talk about the covers thing, it's like, yeah, look, no sweat, we'll flesh out this ending as we go. Hey, how do you end this? Particularly if it's like clicks and stuff.
What version of Jesus Girl do you do? The extended ending, or do you do the radio? What do you do?
Yeah, things like that. And
then sometimes the people go, "There's two different ways to end it." Or there might be a song where you go, "Oh, there's no bridge section in that edit," and there's on the, so you go, "Oh yeah, cool." So you don't do it, right? And you can kind of cover things up.
And you sort of get to that point as well, like where, like, even just from the click sound, you're like, oh, yeah, they got their backing track from this site, so it's probably going to have this ending on it, or like, all this kind of stuff.
Or you just hear the click track, you go, Manny.
Manny always had that particular sound. It's like, Manny puts cues in his tracks.
Yes, he does. I'm saved. And then the band goes, man, that last song, you did it perfectly. I'm like, yeah. No, thank you so much.
Although nowadays, like, I haven't heard of one of Manny's for quite a while because everyone uses the karaoke.com tracks, and like the click sound is dreadful.
You got to crank it out. I guess I've been fortunate. A lot of people I work with still use like Manny tracks and whatever, and other people's, but those karaoke ones are always like, you hear the click, you go, this is rough.
We're in for it. But
it's like, why put it on MP3? Must just put on tape. It's like, man, it's bad. So, all right, well, let's talk about some business because we've been talking for a while. Rob, you also run your own podcast, which is called, now how to say, brilliant name, Brens with Benefits.
I can't take credit for it. It was like, I think more than like one friend like suggested it, and I think when I can't remember like if I posted that name, like sort of just typical like Facebook survey kind of thing, whether I had that name or someone commented the name, or I said should it be this, and it was just like but everyone just, it's like, oh, just give the people what they want, I guess. So, and it's funny because like it kind of like ties in because like everyone that I'm interviewing are, they're all friends, not necessarily with benefits, but they're all friends. So it's like, that's kind of more the premise. Like I'm not necessarily like looking for, this guy has,
benefits.
Yeah, but like it's like, oh, this guy has 500,000, YouTube subscribers. I want to get him on and have some weird conversation, about like, oh, so when did you start playing drums? It's like, no, I've got a lot of very interesting friends, who I have great conversations with, who I want other people to hear as well. So So I have like, there are people on there they're just mates of mine who are just like, I find incredibly interesting, but I am also lucky to know a lot of interesting people who are also like, say, established musicians, such as yourself and Stan and, Roland from My Little Sky, people that I play with and that side of things too. So it's,
Have you? I guess this is a question that, a bit of twofold. We could both kind of answer this one, but how have you found getting people on to the show or getting people like involved in it? Because I have to say I've been mixed with or hit with like people who are like, man, I'll come over now, oh yeah. I'll be there like tomorrow. Do you want to do it tomorrow? How about Thursday? I'll bring donuts, like yeah. But then you got people like, can you send me a list of the questions you're going to ask? You're like, I don't really ask questions, kind of talk, we just figure things
chat,
out.
hey?
Like, but can you itemize the exact content you're going to have and leave it to an hour? And I'm like, that's a lot of things.
But are they like very established kind of people who, or are they just kind of like,
no,
they just don't like surprises?
That's really, but then again, it's really funny. I reached out to people all the time, just like even, I'm hoping to have somebody on one of these ISO-CAST things, hopefully. And I just reached out and went, hey man, big fan, not stalking you, just wondering, I have stuff all subscribers on my YouTube page, but content's content, and I like to dig out your brain a little bit and try to figure out, your music's amazing. Hey, you probably won't even read this, but if you want to get on an episode, we talk about this, and this, music, life, general just crap in whatever goes kind of thing. And I think I'm not going to hear from this person. I'm not. They're here on pond scum level, and 30 seconds later, cool win.
Sick.
And you're like, okay. I'm like,
oh my God.
Send me an email to my email address, because I just happened to be on Facebook at the time. Sent him an email and went like, hey dude, I know, I can't, because I don't pay anyone to be on these things, because I don't have any money to pay for anything, to have content. So I said, just say thank you. I will send you this, like, as a bit of a thank you, because it's available in Australia and not in your country. And he went, don't be ridiculous. Happy to talk like drums, gear, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is incredible. But then you get some other people where you send them an email and maybe a message on Facebook a few days later, or then a week or a month or a year or whatever. And I go, hey man, I'm just following up. Would you be keen? No. just like
hard no.
Bam. It's like, it's just like, So you have these like peaks, like, yeah, I'm motivated to get this done. And then it's,
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's for me. It's been like just more a time thing. Like I was trying to like go weekly, but like it just became, it was too brutal. Where it was just like trying to, everything that would sort of go into it was it was too many other things were falling behind, so it just had to become a just when it's ready kind of thing. But I'm just very lucky that there's the people. Yeah, people love to talk and share, genuinely just share what they're doing. So, and people from and people have like offered from sick bands, like with people that I know who've just like outright offered. I'm like, that took the awkwardness out of that. Sick.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's so far so good. But I'm also happy to like have repeat people on as well, because that's it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm sold on it, then that's kind of all I need. So I'm a little bit like sort of selfish in that way. But I've had some like conversations recently regarding sort of content stuff that I'm working on, where it's just like it's like, you should probably do this thing, probably should do that thing, in terms of doing better on YouTube kind of thing. And I'm just I'm like, look, I'll grit my teeth and do that particular thing.
He look like it.
Oh, sick. What do we got here?
He's made his signs. He's got his name. He's put a face on him. Don't know if you can see the face.
I can see the face. Is he angry? He looks angry.
He looks angry. Is it the bad signs?
No. He's the angry Hulk.
He's the angry Hulk.
Yeah.
All right. So you better not break that test tube then.
No, don't break the test tube. So it's funny because I'm reaching out to other people who've been on the podcast, because that was more audio. Now we're doing kind of video and audio. The reason why, you didn't ask the question like, are you doing just the audio side? I was going through Podomatic, and they just got too expensive.
Oh, okay.
So I found I only got 2 gig a month bandwidth, and I was reaching that in the first 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, you need to go to not the pro plan, but like the ultimate. I'm like, my audience isn't that big, justify it. So I'm kind of finding my feet which way I want to go, like do audio and video, or just the video, the YouTube thing. don't know,
Yeah.
you know. But now I'm reaching out to, because of the whole isolation thing, reaching out to past people like Darren Ferrugia, like Bruce Corrin, people like yourself. I know I had to get in touch with Stan at some point because we've talked about it a few times, but he got busy, you know, things happened.
Yeah.
Went to Canada, lucky bastard. But yeah, I mean, finding people overseas, like, I find trying to find people to do the content is really hit and miss. You know, you got the guys who just want to, I'll jump on it. You know, I just want to talk drums, talk gear, talk life, talk about coffee. You know, and yet the guys sort of like, how much do you pay? Or no,
all that,
or the, you know, how much do you pay? I'm like, huh?
Also, who is paying?
It's like, I wish I could, but I can't. You know, I can't. You know, if I had
and what kind of conversation is that as well? It's like, you're only here because of the cash. So you know, like it's just exactly how real is this exchange? Given that, you know, I had to pay for your you know,
good input,
friendliest. Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It is what it is. But yeah, so far so good. I think we're just pretty lucky that Melbourne is full of just heaps of like sick musicians who are also just they're not too cool for school. You know, happy to, like, you know, donate their time. And
we have a real plethora of people here willing. I think a lot of people I find who are willing to do it. It's just the time, you know, actually getting, because when you think about it, it's like it's not half an hour. Usually it's 2 hours. Like, it's close to 2 hours now. So
I write it for a whole day pretty much.
Yeah. So, you know, and I try and, like, you know, I've got a family too. I know you've got kids and a family, and you got to earn money. So I understand, you know, taking time out is valuable, you know. But, you know, I'm hopefully, if the project takes off and I work out this last little bit of a hurdle, the idea is to actually get like people like you in, where we'll actually do a playing interview. So you'll where
it's just kind of like, fix that in post.
It's like, can you just completely overdub me with Eric Moore, you know? So it would be literally like just one-on-one. So I'd be facing you, and you'd play through tracks, and you talk about how you develop certain styles and whatnot. And that's a 90-minute episode, like full production, editing, and, you know, the payment kind of is, so I can't pay you for it, but you get a produced 90-minute
sick content,
for you, that you can put on your YouTube, and I put on mine, and, you know, you share it with the world, kind of thing. And that's the idea, because I estimate one episode is going to take me about a week to edit. You know, full audio, you know, talking 10 cameras, you know, like crazy amount of stuff. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed. It's just this last bit is like, I've been a month. I'm like, I really kind of need to know, you know. Yeah. But anyway, mate, thank you so much for coming along. And
dude, thanks for having me. I knew that you know, we had like a particular kinship when, like, you know, like when I met you at Drummers Summit, and then like we're sort of, you know, there's like the Vinny thing, and then like,
oh, the da.
Yeah, you're doing Vinny karaoke over just some obscure bootleg with the Chick Corea band in like Romania or wherever it was, and it's just like, like
you saw that too,
like it's, but
and then
I dusted that one off the other day. Well, like looking, just like, how good was that song? I just had one of those typical like Vinny binge things, and and went back to that one, and it was just like, what an insane thing to capture, like just in the moment. But that whole thing though is like, no other drummer, no one has that thing with a drummer. It's just Vinny. Only Vinny has that. It's this little weird microcosm where it's just like, you know, it's like the which solos you've seen, performances, moments that like everyone is, you know, well, I was going to say it's like, like trading cards, but I remember Vinny actually decrying that aspect of YouTube, which I think might have been at that same gig at Bennett's Lane where he's imploring everyone to not film.
To be a part of the gig, the performance.
Yeah, and I remember,
Yeah,
and also, well, and he also was like talking about the what it does to the preciousness of just things existing in that space
in the moment,
rather than and all these performances being reduced to something like trading cards, which like I guess luckily for us we kind of like, because I'm a lot better for seeing that, that Lead Boots Tokyo solo.
Oh,
like,
yeah. It's like when you're in these kind of conversations, dude, that guy and the time with the place, and you're both like, yeah, man. And you both exactly know. Like when you say, oh, back in '88, he did this on a white recording custom with a rack, and he goes, oh yeah, he does that with the left hand around that. I'm like, yeah, you give the most minimal details, and you just know the clip, Here's
because it's such a special thing because like it's even just like a thing where it's like the minutia and like the fan aspect of it, and you just go, and part of it is like, oh, we both share enjoyment in this thing, but it's also this thing of like, your brain's kind of fucked too, like mine, but like, because you get
in a good way,
in absolutely in a good way, because it's, my brain's that too. But I reckon I actually only very recently had what I probably consider to be my drum nerd minutia peak, which is so to start with, like I'm sure you'd be well and truly familiar with, like there's that, I think it's like a 92 Vinny solo. It's like at a clinic. It was like a last minute replacement thing. He's like playing a red Yamaha. The solo's in like 2 or 3 parts or something like that.
Oh, and he's wearing like side view, and his cymbal moved.
The cymbal keeps falling down.
Yep.
And then someone comes along and fixes it. Right, that's the key. So the thing with that, Marcus Ryan, another legend, sent me it was like a video of Zach Danziger doing a clinic when he's like 19 years old
on a Maple Custom.
And as the solo is progressing, there is a crash on his right hand side. It starts falling down. I look at the room. I'm like, it's the same kit. Like it's like the walls. I look at the description and everything. I'm like, it's the same cymbal stand for like that's. I'm watching like this amazing Zach. Yeah, Zach is just creating just like pure genius. And then I just see this crash falling over. I look around and I'm just like, it's the same thing from the video. I'm just like, oh, that is peak nerd right there. But but that's what I love about the whole thing, the whole enterprise. It's just coming across like.
And you think about it, compared to the rest of the world, like America, everything came out in America first, right? And we had to wait 9 months before we got it. So now, when you think about it, if we didn't have the resources of like YouTube, where people could upload these amazing VHS bootlegs, like we would not know what happened back in the 80s and the early 90s until someone said, "Hey man, I just went to that Vinny clinic." You're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, what clinic are you talking about? It's like, "Oh, it's Rochester, New York." You're like, And I think Darren Ferrugia was at that clinic, 3-part clinic that was on YouTube. I'm pretty, because I posted something up and Darren said, yeah, I was there. Darren was actually at that clinic. And I was like, what? And I'm like texting him, like, trying to call him, like, I need to rack your brain kind of thing. I actually had I had a Darren moment with Darren. And I said, man, I've got a bootleg of you playing at the Drummers Weekend back in like 97 or 98. And he's like, what? Yeah. And I just said to him, man, you did that thing with your feet, the ostinato. And then he goes, oh, this. And he did it. I'm like, yeah. But then you did the da, do, 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 da, 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 do, do. He went, how do you know that? I went, man, I've listened. I've got a mini disc and I think I've worn the disc out.
Yeah.
So I sent it to him. He listened back to it and goes, oh my God, you're right. I went, so I actually told him, like over the phone, I went, like a Vinny moment. You know, that drum nerd thing. It's like, yeah, you did this thing at a time in a place, and it was awesome. And you're like, oh, the foot thing, you know? And we talked. I just want to get him back on the show to kind of talk about, you know, how things are with him and like, you know, life and talk about drums and whatnot. Because his YouTube channel's steadily like, I think he's almost at 1,000, and I'm nowhere near.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I know people go like, oh, 1,000. That's not a lot compared to David Dobrik, but he's, you know, 10, 12, 15 million or whatever, but he's a social media guy.
To me, 1,000 is like, that's 1,000 people that click. Like, to me, clicking that button is like a very deliberate thing. To get 1,000 people to do that is sensational. It's
either people want to see what you're going to do next, or people want to see you fail at what you do next. But
I'll take it.
A click is a click, you know, and if you watch me play or talk more than 30 seconds, that's one view, you know. I hit 1,000 it took about, I think about a year, and the next 1,000 took like 2 years. And now I'm about 2,200, but my next goal is at 10,000. I'm hoping to get there in this year if I can. That's the fair way away. But you know, I think it's steadily grown in 3 months, maybe 300 people. And it's like, you go, it's not a lot, but for someone who no frills, low production, you know, it's not
good. It's good.
It's good. Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm going to put your socials up. I've seen your website. It's a very, very cool picture by the 12 Apostles, I think it was. Apollo Bay. Was it Apollo Bay?
Yes. It's just down from there with like Rowan found, like just sort of, you got 12 Apostles, go down, drive like 5 minutes, and he just found like this, like it's a proper, you know, little spot where you can, you know, park and just, you know, look around, and just carried all the stuff like 20 meters across, and just set up and did it. You know, so that was part of his it's an I Built the Sky film clip that's probably very close to 1 million views, which is pretty rad. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good on him, because he's someone who's been at the online game for a long, long time, and he's had like a lot of success in some shapes or forms, in various shapes and forms. But this is the first time that he's going to hit the 7 figures with a video. So dude, it's very close.
That's very cool. Like you know, and when you think about like, for not really named plays in the world, getting 1 million views is big. You know, it's big. Yeah. You know, like I'm happy if I get 25,000 on a video. I mean, I still get my certain amount of hate. You know, I get the trolls.
Good. That's good. That's a good sign. Like I was talking to someone about this the other day, where it's like, I'm waiting for that, because if someone goes out of their way to actually, like, you're doing something worthwhile if someone feels compelled to actually, they have to express it to you, because you only do that to something that you want to pull down. But if it makes you feel it, because you know, you only inspire insecurity in someone if you've done something worthwhile, because otherwise there's nothing to pull down.
It's funny. Someone had a really big on a video, a bit of an attack, you know, about my playing, and I was like, I'm not going to feed the troll. I'm going to let them, you know, dig up, so to speak. and they actually kept on answering back to their own comments, like, and just kept going and going. And I kind of worked out, you know, if it took you a minute or two to write this comment, and then you've come back again, and you've come back again, I've actually commented, because you've written 7 long, we're talking long, minute-long comments to really type it out. And I said, that means you would have watched the entirety of this video the entire time about 7 times. So I said, you've subscribed, you've called me out, like you've trolled me, you've watched the video now collectively 7 times. That's 70 minutes of content you've watched or hearing it while you're typing. Thanks for coming along. And and I was able to I actually pinned all their posts, so they couldn't delete them. So they actually sat there, and they sent me an email saying, "Oh, hey man, can you delete those comments?" I went, Fortunately, at this present time, I'm not in a position to where I can be near a computer, but maybe I'll get back to this, And they've just kept them there. So, sometimes you get a comment and it's like a cheese grater on your forehead. You're like, oh, it's real. I need to answer this. And then someone in America who has a like 500,000, like a YouTuber mate, said, don't feed the troll. Let other people come in and defend you if they can. And they've come in, gone, well, if you can do better, you've got 2 videos, one from your iPhone or one from a GoPro you're driving down the road.
Yeah.
It's like, because every time they comment, they come back. By the time, and I keep saying, and I'll eventually chime in and say, you've been back, you've answered the comment a dozen times, which means that's 12 views you've added to the count. And every time you come back,
what is your goal?
What are you trying to achieve? So, I get I'd say probably out of every 100 comments, 1 is average. It's like, oh man, I've been watching for 5 minutes and you haven't got to playing yet. Okay. I don't know what you want me to do. I can't go back and just cut the first 5 minutes out, Some dude playing with a hi-hat clutch. I mean, what am I going to do,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'll
wow.
I'm going to post up all your socials. I'm going to post up your website. And now Brens Benefit, that's on Spotify. Is that it? Is on Spotify.
It's Spotify and pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to link it all up. Thanks for coming along, mate. Everybody check out Rob's page. Check out everything he does because he's. I know. When I first saw you play, I actually wanted to. I think I even did. I think I put the sticks down and stood up when it was my shot to play at the shed, and I went, no, I can't do this. No, I can't follow that. I'm the only trad fusion guy in Chop City, and out of all of you, I'm like watching Rob and your feet because I think you just came out with something. I was like, you're like, yeah, go, and you're like, I'm like. I can't follow this. I can't.
I had to deal with like following Stan or someone like that. Where I'm just like, oh, I can't do that stuff.
and then I'm like, nope. Well, I guess I'm screwed.
Nah, man, that just means like you wind up being Gad at the Buddy Rich Memorial where you just have played the sickest feel. Just go, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, it does, as you said, chicks get the thrill. Was it Phil's get the thrill? Phil's get the chicks, but the bill through. Oh, what was that saying? Chicks get the bills. That's right. Chicks. Was it? Phil's get the chicks, but the groove pays the bill. Oh, something. I don't know. Something like that. It was a very Gad thing. I think it was a Gad thing. I can't remember. How bad my memory is. All right, man. Well, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And hang out. I'll quickly chat to you about something, and then go have some dinner.
Love your work.
Thanks,
Love your work, mate. Thanks for having me.
Bye.